Aloha, everyone. Ghosts of Hawaii. You know who? I'm your host, Obaki Hunter. Again with another talk in the dark. With you, the audience that choose to come in here to chat and watch overall on YouTube. And also, tonight, as always, with a much wider audience, at least for a bit, with Necrophonic running in the background. You can probably hear that right now. Hello, thank you for the like. Who came in tonight? Uilani, good to see you. Aloha to you as well. Kalina, good to see you as well. 3 people, right on. You know, as long as I got someone watching, the show will continue. Tonight's topic: dreams and ghosts. Or as I put it down on the description for the title, Ghosts and Dreams, whichever you prefer. To me, ghosts and dreams, there's a definite connection between them. After all, when we are asleep, isn't that the closest state that we have towards passing into the next life? There have been times that I've had some very weird things happen to me in regards to ghosts and dreams, and we'll be talking about that tonight. Also, to the chat audience that is out there tonight, please feel free to chime in on your own experiences, because I honestly believe that a lot of people out there, a lot of you that watch, well, please feel free to leave a comment. You've experienced something to do with ghosts in your dreams. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there that have gone through that. So feel free to chime in, and then we will pause and we will talk about your experience as well. Now, why am I doing this tonight? Well, I woke up after having a very, very bizarre, strange dream, and not for the first time. This one, though, was, I always make my shows for adults only, because sometimes it gets pretty much intense, or in this case, disturbing. So the dream that I had was someone was stacking bodies in a room, dead bodies in a room. And thank you for the like, by the way, again. The likes keep me coming back for more, like I said. But so someone was stacking dead bodies in my room, or in a room, I should say. And over the course of time, the bodies began to deteriorate, and in a very graphic way. So I'm going to tell you why I think this is a sign of a ghost. Because for the last several days or so, I have been getting signs that the spirits from that interview I did called Those Who Chose to Remain are still communicating with me. And what do I mean by that? Well, originally, and I don't think this was shared with you folks, but within that confines of that building, they were taking bodies downstairs. If you remember, I told you about sitting in the room that I was in where we were all having a holiday meal, and I was right next to the doorway, and I heard like this weird dragging sound, and then the doors opening up to the elevator. Well, they said that they take bodies down there. So I just kind of, I could be wrong, because Dreams are very interesting things. They've appeared with spirits throughout history. Even William Shakespeare wrote about ghosts, and I believe dreams as well. So I was very, very wanting to do a show with all of you to see what you thought about ghosts and dreams. Do you have dreams of people who have passed away? Do you have dreams that I can even be considered premonitions? Because I believe in so many different ways spirits come back to try and talk to us all. For me, one of the most interesting things that I've discovered about them is their ability to actually transfer their presence into the physical realm. And for me personally, and I'm sure this goes out there to a lot of people who have shared this experience as well, some people have the pressing ghost, or as we say in Hawaii, the choke neck ghost, which I have experienced personally. Do I think that spirits have that ability to open up that gateway within our mind while we are sleeping, come into the physical realm? Maybe we ourselves are the doorways at times to the paranormal. I think it's very possible. It's also said that you should be very careful on how you place your bed in your bedroom. Do not face it toward a window. Do not face it towards a door, because that will again invite spirits into our lives. It's getting to the point now where I feel like I have to go back and visit. Wait, hold on. Kalina says, yes, I believe they come to visit and sometimes give you information. So let me ask you a question, Kalina. Do you, when you say you feel that ghosts come back or go into our dreams to give us information, are you talking along the lines of spirit guides or just random encounters? Because I remember one thing that happened to me that was really rather startling for myself, and that was when, this was several years ago, I was visiting a location where I was having frequent encounters with a few spirits that would show up pretty persistently. So one night I went home, and the spirits that were following me around where I was investigating actually showed up and started. I can't really, I don't want to say everything because I just don't want to get freaked out. But these spirits were telling me that they were going to do me great harm if I didn't stop doing what I was doing. So that's a situation where something came from a location and showed up in my dreams. And that was very startling as well. So, yeah, that's the topic for tonight. Do spirits actually come back? Our relatives, I should say, as well. Do they come back and do they visit us? Do they, like Kalina said, do they actually share information with us? And if they are sharing information with us, what exactly are they trying to tell us? That's the intriguing part. Because to me, it's like, even with regular dreams, some people are very good at it. Some people have vivid dreams. Some people are dream explorers. Some people can actually fly through the air and do incredible things and visit landscapes and other stuff that has to do with dream travel. Other people get like bits and pieces of information. For me, the most frequent visitations have taken place with my dad that recently passed away. Let's see what's being said here by Wilani. Yes, all the time. A lot of my dreams end up happening after a couple of days, weeks even. I will get messages or conversations with people I never saw, and then sometimes relatives. That's interesting. Let me reread that. Yes, all the time. A lot of my dreams end up happening after a couple of days, weeks even. I will get messages or conversations with people I never saw, and then sometimes relatives. Now, I just mentioned that could there be spirit guides and other type of ghosts that are coming through to us? Maybe in that sleep state that we go through, we become temporary mediums that we are able to channel spirits, whether we want to or not. That's an entirely different thing. I have had a very sensitive person to spirits once tell me that they had trouble getting to sleep because they were experiencing ghosts that were from different time periods. And then it was revealed to them that these were spirit guides. Whether or not these were spirit guides from a previous life, I'm not, excuse me, I'm not that sure. But yeah, people have been visited by entities, I should say, that they don't recognize as well. Or I should say this as well. People have actually encountered spirits, and I've experienced this too. This just kind of dawned on me. I've experienced ghosts that have come to talk to me, and although they are people I know, they no longer look like they did in life. They look entirely different. So that kind of makes me stop and think, what if there is such a thing as reincarnation? Maybe these people who pass away, when they come back to visit you, they show themselves what they were in a previous life. Or could it be possibly someone that's trying to trick you into having a conversation saying that there's someone that you know? But I do like what Uilani just said, that you're talking to people that you don't recognize at all. That's very interesting. As far as the type of situations I would have with ghosts and dreams, like when it was my dad, it was kind of like sitting down, having a conversation with someone that's still alive and still with you. And sometimes I know for a fact, because I've had a dream about a person that I did paranormal work with recently, and he came back and he visited me. Sometimes it just feels so real, so realistic. You know, you don't know. I'm sure a lot of you out there have had the dreams where this is just so real, and then for some reason it dawns on you, hey, this is a dream. This isn't real. And then of course that's the point, usually for most people in a dream, where they will start to wake up. Once that realization kicks in, maybe when that realization kicks in, the door starts to close. Maybe that's what it is. But I believe that we should be paying attention to the dream world now more than ever before. I believe that there is a shift that's going on within this particular span of time in history, and that things are going to start to rapidly change even more than now. And it won't just be with technology and everything else. People are going to be experiencing things that are definitely strange. As a matter of fact, they are starting to pop up all over the place. So we need to be much more aware of these type of situations. Let's see what else that I have here, because I know someone had contacted me earlier today about this, and they were asking me about keeping a dream journal. That's it. Someone contacted me about keeping a dream journal, which I think is a very good idea. If you do have on you, especially if you think there's something going on with your dream, like whether it's from spirits or otherwise, sometimes it's a good idea when you wake up to write everything down, just to see if there is something going on. Is there any type of continuity? Or are the messages that the ghosts that are contacting you, are they becoming more and more clear? Because I believe that it's a good idea. I'm glad someone brought that to my attention. I really am, that you should keep a dream journal. I think that's fantastic. I think I will end up probably doing that because that dream that I had was very well. What was weird about the dream is it was definitely connected to that other place that I had visited, and weird things came out of it, like the photo and everything. But I really think that it was really trying to give me a message about that location because as much as I was scared by these dead bodies that were showing up in my room, or in a room, I should say, it was also like it was specifically trying to tell me that this is happening for a particular reason. Of course, the other part of it is dream interpretation, which is very interesting as well. I can guarantee you, if I went on Google right now, and if I were to try to look up dream symbols, dreaming of dead bodies and everything else, there's going to be someone that has written something about it and would say that this is the actual definition of that particular dream. So I believe that it could be a symbol of something else that's going on, but it was so graphic and it was so realistic. And the weird thing about it is when I woke up, Carol, good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. The weird thing about it is, um, I felt that the dream was happening in the corner of my room, or that's where the entity was. This is the same place when I was talking to you folks on my last live stream, and that's where it was emanating from. I just woke up like that. I said, wow, it's coming from that area where I heard that weird voice. So I think something is going on with that particular situation. And I think it's also important for people who do work in the paranormal, or if you're living in a place that's haunted, to just try to remain calm if you feel like it's a persistent thing, because this might end up being persistent. I don't know, but I have to remain calm if communication is happening, and I need to be receptive to what these spirits are trying to say as well. Probably one of the most scary things that have ever happened to me, or startling, was once when I was living in a haunted house as a child. When we were kids, we used to gather around the TV together as a family, and we would be watching some TV show. And so one night I had this dream where we were all gathered around the TV and we were all watching and laughing and having a good time. And then all of a sudden, everyone in the dream was like frozen, not moving. And then I felt something grab my legs and drag me from the living room into my bedroom and then underneath my bed. And it put its arms around me. And I could, from under the bed, I could still see the door open. This was a very graphic dream. Very, very graphic dream. I could still see the door open to my bedroom. And then all of a sudden, the door slammed shut. There was these arms around me. And it put whatever it was, its lips to my ear and started to laugh. And I woke up practically screaming. We have someone saying something in the audience. Kalina Rees says, for me, it's random. After my brother passed, he came to me, sat down in my doorway, and told me he wanted us to clean out his house. It was like he knew he was going to get robbed. Interesting. Well, if there was any scenario to look at that would have a precognitive power, I believe spirits are able to see ahead of time. Let me ask you this. Was there an attempt to rob that house after the spirit of your brother showed up? Let me know, yeah? Whether it was the case or not. I really appreciate that. But that was probably the most. And then years later, after I had that dream, I was. It felt like something was trying to wake me up. Then I sat up in bed and I heard this voice saying my name, and it was the same spirit from that house, from that dream. And the weird thing is, I try not to think about it. Like if I'm doing a live stream with you folks, I will share that encounter with you about what happened to me when I was a kid? Because a lot of weird things happen. As a matter of fact, I think I might have astral projected, if you know what astral projection is. It is said that while you are sleeping, you are able to leave your body. And when I was living in that house, I would have dreams of not only leaving my body, but also being up towards the ceiling and then looking down. And when I looked down, I would look around at the room, recognizing everything. And usually it would happen in the early morning hours because I could see that dawn was starting to show up. And then once I looked at my body in that house, my my spirit rushed back into my body, and actually my body would bounce in bed like I slammed into it. It would lift up and it would go back down. So there were like really weird things like that happened to me as well. Now, with that said, is that a spirit experience, a personal spirit experience? Because it was only at that particular time in my life, in that particular house, that I was having these dreams. Maybe I'm just putting this out there to everyone. Maybe I was so terrified by the ghosts that were visiting the place that I lived. Maybe my spirit was trying to get away from the situation. Kalina says, we cleaned it out the next day so no robbery took place. Wow. Usually when I get dreams about family, it's like my friend as well who recently passed away. It's kind of like you understand that something is going on. Like someone's trying to, like what was said earlier, very interesting by Uilani, like someone's trying to impart information to you. And it's along those lines that my dream experiences tend to translate and come out that way. It's almost like I'm trying to tune into a radio station and trying to get through all the static and everything to hear exactly what, if anything, is being said. Because in these situations, I honestly believe that communication is trying to be established. And it makes total sense. I'm going to ask people if you've experienced this as well. So sometimes I'm sleeping, right? And it's the state between being awake and asleep. And let's see what's being said here. Hold on one second. This is from Carol. Carol A says, I had a demon come into my house during a time I was practicing spirituality very strongly. I felt it going to my bedroom. Then I started getting dreams. First was at night. I dreamt the house was on fire. Whoa. Carol, continue please with that, because I really like to hear as much as you can possibly share with what you think that was going on. And again, that kind of like connects to me, right? I was so okay, it was so much for me in the beginning with the paranormal. I was going out like 5 to 7 days a week. 5 to 7 days a week. That's a lot to be going out and investigating spirits. And the more I started going out and doing that, that's when things started to change around me. And also when I had the dream about the spirits that were threatening me for going to a particular location. So I think the more you practice this, the more you're going to have things happen to you as far as ghosts and dreams are concerned. So the other thing I was talking about was when, I don't know if you've had this before. Let me know in the comments, or even tonight while I love when we have the people in chat, because we can interact and share our experiences. But you be sleeping, and this happened to me. Like, that state between being awake and then truly asleep. There's that go between state, and it's happened on several occasions where there are like voices or like knocking on the door. And I would, and I like with the voices, I'd be like, oh, I gotta sit up and go, because I have someone here as well, and say, hey, what were you telling me about? I was sleeping. I wasn't telling you anything. People talking. You're between the waking state and the dream state. But the one that really scares me the most is the knocking, because the knocking is very, very loud. It's like banging sound with the knocks and everything. And I would get that off and on for quite a while. Like someone knock, and we talk about doorways, right? Didn't I mention that earlier about doorways? Okay, hold on. Is this Carol? Carol says a deep voice told me leave the baby because it wanted my baby's soul. Took him into my room. Every dream after that was similar until mom and I cleansed the house. Isn't it amazing that for all when you we look at the pros and the cons of today's world and technology and the internet, we can have an experience like this where the most incredible encounters are shared. So, Carol, let me ask you, because that was really, really startling what you shared. Let me ask you, do you think that that was a demon? Or maybe it was something that was just coming into your dreams because of certain things that were going on? Because sometimes it is ghosts, sometimes it's not. Do you feel it was a definite demonic entity that was trying to threaten you? Or, like you said, your baby? That's I would be using holy water and everything else to try and get rid of that. By the way, we will be having a show about spiritual protection. That's coming up very soon as well. So this will be things that I share with all of you that could probably or maybe help you if you're encountering any type of spirit attack, which that kind of like is what it sounds like. But it again, getting back to that, I would be sleeping and I would hear these loud, like it was loud pounding on the door that sounded so real. It's not like using your fists to pound the door. It's like using your knuckles, and that rapping sound, but very loud and insistent. Is that the doorway that is opening up? Or is that a spirit on the other side of that doorway that is asking for permission? Maybe that's the way they enter into our world. Maybe they need to ask permission. I'm not sure, but the knocking on the door was always very, very realistic. The voices were too, like you hear someone talking to you and you say, "Hey, did you try to tell me something just now?" Like, "No, I'm just doing, watching TV. I didn't bother you." And so that kind of makes me wonder, how often are we having visitations from the other side? And again, for myself, what I intend to do is I'm going to be keeping a dream journal to see if anything else shows up, possibly from that building that we had an interview at, because this seems it might be connected to that. And maybe that hand in that photo that I shared for a while on my community page, I can put it back up. If you say, "Hey, put the picture back up," I'll put the picture back up for you guys. But maybe that hand that was reaching out was not so much trying to mess with my camera. Maybe that was a spirit that was trying to reach out to me. Carol A says, "I think it was a demon because I was becoming more entrenched in my Catholic spirituality. It wanted my baby because they're the purest spiritual beings, and it wanted to turn me from the church." Synchronicity, Carol. Synchronicity. Because I'm also planning on doing a show about ghosts and Lent. That time during Easter where everyone tries to stay on the best path possible, but yet demonic activity is on the rise. So I think that is almost like synchronicity, because I'm already thinking about doing a show, and it is tied in to my Catholic faith. As a matter of fact, all of this stuff happened not too long after my demonic possession as well, which I don't really talk about too much. I think I should be also doing a show talking about spirit messengers, where before my demonic possession took place, we were having other types of visitations that were of a divine nature. And that was not a dream, that was in the physical realm. But then again, it turned into something entirely different. But that really makes me think that all of this is for a reason. If I come on and I talk to all of you and you're sharing information like this, I find it interesting that if another doorway perhaps opened up and that we will be sharing similar experiences. Lenten ghosts, never heard of that, but it makes sense and I look forward to it very much. Thank you. Yeah, it happened. That was a very, very real scenario that took place for me. And we will be covering it a little bit more in detail with the demonic manifestation that showed up. It showed up, I think, on Good Friday. There were two demonic manifestations we talked about in the past on this show. Both of them took place during Good Friday. As a matter of fact, with my demonic possession, it was taken care of out of my hands and taken care of on, I believe it was Easter Sunday. But things were happening all through Lent that I could not control. So I will probably be doing that as well. Oh, so are they real? Do we have the ability to open ourselves up, whether we want to open ourselves up or not, to spirits? And maybe they do knock upon that door to ask to come and share whatever the message is. I think that's very possible. A couple shows that are coming up, ladies and gentlemen, here on Ghosts of Hawaii. We will be doing a show on spiritual protection, how you can protect yourself in the most basic way possible against any type of spirit attack. At least with my experiences, which is a place here on this channel where you can share your experience with me and I share that with you with our talks in the dark. So look forward to that show. I'm also still working on gathering information for animals and the paranormal. I honestly believe that animals can see things. I believe animals are also been known to show up as spirits themselves, important spirits in culture. So we'll be talking about that as well. And then finally, I wanted to share this with all of you. And I just posted it today on my community page. A possible encounter with Mothman. If you folks don't know who Mothman is, feel free again. Isn't it great to have Google? You can go on Google and you can look up the history of Mothman and find out for yourself what type of entity this is. There's even a few photos, I think, of what possibly could be Mothman. But there was an encounter here in Hawaii, a possible encounter here in Hawaii involving the Mothman. Sometimes I feel pretty isolated being on this island. Like a lot of things happen throughout the world in different parts of the world. Very unusual entities, cryptoids and all that stuff. Cryptids, which are unusual animals that are considered to be paranormal beings, like Dogman, as an example. That's another one. But we will be having a show on Mothman, and I'm bringing in a guest that took a picture of what looked like something with wings in the sky. And we just had a conversation about that, but we only went over it in a generalized way. I'm bringing that person on as a guest. She will tell you everything that happened to her that night that led up to her getting what looked like this thing with devil wings up in the sky. So we're going to be bringing her on, or I'm going to be bringing her on. And then after that, we will be talking about Mothman. I will be sharing this experience that was sent to me today, and then I'll be giving you my thoughts on that as well. But look forward to that. That should be coming out fairly soon. Also, the spiritual protection show should be coming out fairly soon. And also look forward to sometime in December toward after Christmas, we will be going to a place near Waimano home to see what kind of activity takes place there. Carol says, my horses were spooked badly by negative entities. My sister had a negative entity my sister had brought to our property. My dog sees ghosts, good and bad. Really looking forward to Mothman program. Mothman, always something that I would love to share with all of you folks about these paranormal entities. And I probably will be going over them soon, but that will probably happen next year when I do at sunset. Stories that are told and stories that are read from the paranormal at a haunted location. So look forward to those too. Thank you. Heck, looking forward to all your programs. Well, I appreciate it. You know, I've been out here for like what, on YouTube for a few years now, and just experience a lot of crazy things. And then, of course, along the way, you meet people who have their own personal experiences, and then you get like a message saying, "Hey, you know what? I think this might have been Mothman that we experienced." And I believe, if you trust me, if you bring me a story, I will not discredit you. I think we all should have the right to express ourselves with things that we encounter. I just hope tonight, when I go to bed and I'm beginning to fall asleep, that I don't hear anything knocking on my door. Whether it's a physical door or a metaphysical door, because to be honest with each and every one of you out there, I don't want the visits. I really don't. You know, you could be a dear family member or friend. I really don't want to be hearing from you. No offense. You know, where you're at is where you're at. And may you find peace. And everything else we should be experiencing for ourselves in whatever way it shows itself to us. And with that said, oh my God, I'm looking forward to all these upcoming shows. Also, a look forward to Sacred Grounds. Hopefully, I can do that show at the beginning of the year. Also, look forward to other guests. I have two police officers that I'm going to be interviewing. We're going to be going to different locations. And along the way, from now, with you listening to me here on this program, I'm going to be going to other places as well. That's all coming up. I'm going to kind of like leave that as a surprise for all of you that always tune in. Like and subscribe so that you will catch the surprise live streams as well as the ones I scheduled. Troy Fujimoto says, I missed the beginning of tonight's stream. You talk about what happened in your room the other night during your live stream. Yeah, well, I kind of, you know, this nightmare that I had kind of ties into what happened to me with the voice that I heard the other night in my room. When I woke up, I probably had a precognitive moment, realizing that whatever was trying to communicate me was coming from the place in my room where I heard that weird voice. So, yeah, possibly, very much so. That's the case. But kind of makes me kind of pause and think there are haunted locations, there are haunted houses. And now that I think about it, as I wind things up on this very interesting live stream about so many things, are we haunted ourselves? Is that possible? After all, it is said that our bodies are definitely the house of the soul. I think it's very possible. And I think that it's not done with me. It's not done with any of us. And I believe the event horizon is approaching. I said for a long period of time to people that when we had the pandemic, that's just only the beginning. It's only the beginning. And I'm not saying this to scare people. I think it's better to be prepared for what's yet to come. I think what we're seeing right now are precursors to a much bigger encounter. And I believe it can be happening on many different levels. It can involve spirits, it can involve extraterrestrials, it could involve spirit prophecy, many different things that are out there. But things like COVID was just a way to wake us up a little bit more to what can happen and why we should be prepared for such things. Let's see what it says here. Or are we haunting this world? That's from Carol. Are we haunting this world? Maybe. But that's the thing that I love about the paranormal. That's the thing I like when people chime in, even if it's in the comments or here, is hearing your thoughts. Because in the end, I believe before we leave this world, that we will need each other like never before. I believe that that is coming. Troy Fujimoto says it was once suggested that we could appear as ghosts to others in another dimension or universe. That's a wild idea that we could appear in shadow form in another dimension. I believe that that's possible. I also heard that theory as well. That somehow we are all interconnected, dimensions and otherwise. And maybe we are visiting each other. And maybe one day we'll find out why. Maybe we will. Kalina says, God bless. I'm feeling that something big is coming soon as well. Honestly, I do. I was thinking of expanding on this show and including things like global warming and everything else. Because there's so many things for me that just fascinates me and that I want to talk about. Even how the human condition is slowly changing because of things like social media. There's a lot of people that are strapped in correctly in their seats on their travels through social media, but I think a lot of us are just on a ride that we don't understand and that we're changing too fast. And it scares me because I don't think we should be trying to just get attention in that way. Some people do it really well. Trust me, I think there's some great aspects to social media. But I also think that something else is going on. And that it's trying to draw our attention away from what really truly is happening out there in this world. Sometimes I think too much is coming through to each and every one of us, and that we need to slow that information down. I really do. When I was a kid, there was a show called The Outer Limits that I would watch, and it would talk about extraordinary things that happen to individuals, people, all different types of stories and realms, and even the Twilight Zone was like that as well. Things that I would watch because I was drawn to the subject matter. And I think that could have been a warning. And right now we are in the process of going through it all. Troy Fujimoto says, sometimes dreams are just the brain processing and entertaining itself. But I wonder if there might be certain times when dreams are when we can connect beyond the veil. Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Because I cannot explain to you my experiences completely. And like I said, the one that scares me the most is because where I sleep, I try not to keep my bed. At one point, my bed was facing the window, and I was having a whole bunch of crazy things happen to me with dreams, but they were so strong and they were happening, like one image after another, after another, after another. It's like going through TV channels very, very quickly and not stopping on one. I was going through stuff like that and other things. So, yeah, I believe that people have been experiencing weird things for a long time, and this is a place where we can talk about such things. So, let me know, yeah, if you want to, what you would like to see me talk about on this particular channel on YouTube, because I think it's worth us all gathering together and sharing our thoughts. Because in the end, and I hope this doesn't happen, we will need each other like never before. The one thing I'd like to say before I sign off tonight, that for a long time I have been talking about doing a special program on the 3 days of darkness that is supposed to be coming in the future. I'm going to do that show, but I tell you right now, it's it's going to take a lot for me to do it. But I think the message is too important not to try and give out there to others. I know I'm not the only one that has talked about the 3 days of darkness, but to me, when I finally get around to doing that show, it'll probably be the most important thing I've ever done. The most important thing. Because think about it, even just saying it, 3 days of darkness, that is something I hope never happens. And if you tune in and you keep watching, and one day you see on my community page, my next show is about 3 days of darkness, you'll know why. You will definitely know why. That this will be the most important thing that I ever talk about. And with that said, now's the time to let you all go back to what you were doing. Thank you for allowing me into your homes to sit down with all of you and share something else that definitely is well, in this particular case, I'm pretty sure hauntings are shared with almost everyone. But in this particular case, this is something that we all have encountered at least once. Do they come and visit? And why do they do that? Leave a comment if you know why. I'm more than happy to hear from you. Also, before I leave tonight, if you have an experience that you would like to share, you don't have to be a guest on my show, but if you want me to share something with everyone, feel free to do that. Feel free to do that. You can reach me at Obake Hunter, O-B as in boy, AKEHUNTER 51 at gmail.com. I've already shared a Pele story with all of you from 13 Souls. So if you would like to leave me a message and you would like for me to share your story on this channel, please let me know. Feel free to contact me there. You can also find me lurking around on my Facebook page, Ghosts of Hawaii, hosted by Obake Hunter. That particular page is starting to really get interesting. There's a lot of people sharing their experiences there as well. So you can find me there if you want to talk story, guys. And of course, always look forward to other shows that will be coming up, both scheduled and unscheduled, here at Ghosts of Hawaii. And I look forward to them, every single one of them, because I know I get to talk with all of you. Ghosts of Hawaii. Your home for a dose of ghosts and someone knocking at the door. Have a good night, everyone. And I mean that. Sweet dreams. And may they not involve any type of interruption from the other side. Until next time, aloha. Good night.